I have got to say that you mustn't forget to pick up this on your way out if you haven't already got a copy. And also, of course, to say something about CEFTUS, which you all may know more than I do already. But I mean, I think the important thing about CEFTUS, which I've worked with and admired since their inception, is a strapline which says building bridges between Turkey and the UK. I mean, I think that's the main thing. It's tremendously important, becomes more important all the time, and I think that CEFTUS makes a really important contribution to that. So I'm very glad to be here, and I'm very glad to introduce Jan, who is going to talk for, he says, about 10 minutes. And then we've got lots of time for Q&A, Jan, thank you.
Thank you. It's really a great honor to be here, and especially a big pleasure for me to be with you. I have distributed what I have to say beforehand, so you know what my position and what my ideas are. I will just make two main assessments for the further discussion. Because I will refer to these assessments in the question and answer session, in answering your questions. And my approach to my lookout at politics everywhere in my own work is not the political persons or even the political parties. My focus is on the sociological dynamics of the society. Because I believe that the main determinant of politics is the sociology of it and the change in sociological structures rather than the intentions and the personalities of the leaders. Of course, the leaders play a role, but the weighted factor is the society's dynamics. So my answers will be more based on sociology rather than daily politics or the personalities of the politicians. And in this I want to make two assessments. First of all, the political activity in Turkey has started in the foundation of the Republic. The founders of the Republic have thought of a sociological engineering. They wanted to create an exemplary citizen, which would be taken an example from the rest of the people, and Turkey would westernize in this manner. Today we know this is wrong. We cannot make sociological engineering. People don't comply with this. What happened was, one part of the country was protected, one part was supported economically, sociologically, and a kind of citizen which lived and thought like European. It was tried to create a sector in the community which would serve as a European example. But doing this, this minority was so much protected economically. They became very rich because due to customs protections. They were preferred in every kind of social activity. They are referred as white Turks today. And on the other side, the people, the conservative religious people, Kurds, Alawites, they were in the struggle of not giving their sovereignty to the state institutions, because state institutions, namely the military, the judiciary, police, intelligence, research centers, all the state institutions at that time, have cooperated with the White Turks to determine the politics. And the rest of the people have fought for their way of living, for their beliefs, and for their identity. This is the struggle that Turkish politics was designed in the last 90 years. And I have gone into some detail in my presentation here, how it has changed, how this tutelage of state institutions in cooperation with the White Turks have weakened throughout the years. A very determining factor was Turgut Özal, a leader of a party which came to power after a military coup. And he has abolished all the protections for the White Turks. He has made fundamental investments throughout the country, and he liberalized money transfers so that a new middle class started to rise in Anatolia. So the country started to transform from being a peasant society to a middle class society. Middle class society means individualism, differentiation, more freedoms, and experiencing the personal way of living, identities. And when we look at all the military coups, we have actually four of them. The last one is an exception. The first three was done against a society where the population was predominantly peasant. And those coups were successful, because I know I'll have questions now concerning the last coup in Turkey. So we have to differentiate between this last coup and the first three coups in perspective of the changing sociological structure. So my answers to your questions will be in this frame where the transforming peasant society to a middle class society is in struggle with the state institutions in cooperation with the White Turks. That is, it's a sovereignty struggle. It's a struggle against tutelage.
History.
You're not the only one.
No, because I don't think they're very important on the history. Because your point about tutelage and so on, as I say, you could describe it differently, but it's certainly a fact of life. For much of my time being associated with Turkey, the government institutions take, their attitude was very much, well, you're the little people, you really shouldn't be allowed to take a decision or this kind of thing. These are serious and difficult questions, and we will take those decisions for you. And I must say, I was very struck between the difference when I first went to work in Turkey, which was before when most of you were born, and when I went back in the 90s, because in the 60s, I thought Turkey looked quite like an evolving democracy. But when I went back in the 90s, it struck me that it had got stuck in time. All those, all the pluralistic things, which Western democracies were now driven by, with impulses from all kinds of external things besides government, press, the media, pressure groups of all kinds, inform policy making in an open and liberalised way. And that simply hadn't happened in Turkey, which still was saying, well, all little people, this is how you should behave. So on all of that, as I say, I might use different languages in some cases, but I think Jan's analysis is very much mine. What I'd like to hear about, really, if you had a moment, Jan, was what is about the present and the present, really, because I mean, I think the questions which a lot of people ask is, how is the present situation actually different? I mean, is it the case that under the present government structure there are, you talk about more freedom is differentiated than individualism? And I wonder, that I think is not the way it's regarded, universally. So what I'd like to hear about more, a bit more is the present, which is what is controversial, rather than the past.
Okay.